When I was a small child, way back in the day, if any of us smaller kids got a splinter, cut, scrape, or any other kind of open wound, short of a disabling gigantic gash, there was only one balm the parents in my neighborhood applied. It smelled terrible. It left a bright reddish-orange stain, and it really stung a lot. Balm was applied directly to the wound with a glass stem that had to be dipped into a small jar of the dreaded cure. Balm sold by the name of methyl, better known to us as that stinky, stinging stuff. And as young kids, we tried to avoid that cure, going so far as to hide a wound as best we could for as long as we could, because the cure seemed so much worse than the wound. And it wasn't worse, of course. It really did sterilize and start the healing process. So it was good for us. But the pain and ensuing tears that the balm brought about was proof enough to the contrary in our young minds. Consequently, it was to be avoided whenever possible. Inevitably, though, our skin needs would be discovered by a parent when we bathed or changed our clothes, and cuts and slivers tended to swell and change to a color that moms and dad would notice. And upon discovery of our wounds, our parents would sympathize, but would raise questions along the line God does in our lectionary reading. You know we have medicine for that. Why didn't you let us doctor your wound? And our answer to why we did not get help was likely no. It certainly got expressed in short order when that little glass dipping thing got unscrewed and pulled out of the bottle. I'm hurt. I'm okay. Please don't put that on. It hurts. It hurts. Ow! We cry. And then it occurred to me that our childish, the cure is worse than the disease approach that we took toward methylate, is an excellent way to understand what's going on in this lectionary lesson. There's a woundedness to the nation that needs a cure. The cure is known. The cure is available. But the nation is like a child not seeking it for fear for the uncomfortable consequences that taking care causes. And that leads to God's famous question that we heard Bobby read so well from Jeremiah. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? And Gilead at that time was a central location, clearinghouse for medicinal remedies and healers. It had cures for wounds. And Jeremiah uses that known to his audience fact how God metaphorically asked why cures were not applied or sought by national leaders when clearly the nation was wounded. Like a number of texts that we have come up recently in the lectionary, Jeremiah 8 is about wounds of the nation being left unattended while the salve and the healers to heal are readily available. Known remedies are not being acquired, not being applied. And why would anyone in a nation not apply the balm needed to heal the wounds of nations? Because the secular and religious leaders, like a child with a scrape and a bottle of stinging medicine, worry about the effect the balm that will heal the people's woes will have on them. The balm is being God's presence, providing justice and kindness to everyone. To them, God's cure is worse than the disease. And by the time we become older children, most of us have a whole wound tending scenario down. Step 1 is we get wounded. Step 2 is a remedy is sought by us or someone who cares. Step 3 is gaining access to a remedy, medical care like a balm or a physician. Step 4 is application of the care to the wound. And step 5 is the medicine taking effect. Usually it soothes, protects, and heals. And that's all kind of obvious to us. Boiled down, we get hurt, and we get help. And in the lesson from Jeremiah, God finds that only the first part is happening. There is hurt, but no one is getting help. And God, we're told, is mad because of that. But anger is not all God feels. We are also told that God aches with those getting hurt. That God suffers when people suffer is made clear by the words at the start of the lesson, like, joy is gone, God says. Grief is upon me, my heart is sick. Hark, the cry of my poor people from far and wide in the land. And then a few verses later, God adds these words of anguish and pain. For the hurt of my poor people, I am hurt. I mourn, and dismay has taken hold of me. And then God asks why the obvious steps, the cure has not been acquired and applied. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then has the health of my poor people not been restored? And we're told God wants to cry. Tears of sorrow. Oh, that my head were a spring of water and my eyes a fountain of tears, so that I might weep day and night for the slain of my poor people. I'm not sure why, but modern Christians seem to not know or think that the Bible tells that God actually has pain and sorrow and wants to cry when we hurt and when we die. Lord God stops and asks in this story, why has the health of my poor people not been restored? And the anonymous author of our opening hymn answers that question in a very Christian way, resolving the dilemma. The song tells us the balm is Jesus. In the scripture lesson, God asks if there is a balm in Gilead, and the writer of the African-American spiritual answer, there is a balm in Gilead. The balm is the hope of friendship with Jesus and love that Christ gives. That is the answer in the context of Christianity in general, but in the context of the awful American institution of slavery that the spiritual came out of, it is very much connected to the original context in Jeremiah. See, Jeremiah was written at a time when Israel and Judah were being conquered by Babylon, and their people were being dragged off into enslavement in a foreign country. Jeremiah's people, like the enslaved Americans who first sang "There is a balm in Gilead," were weighed down by the threat and the reality of the horrors and the burdens of captivity and slavery. And so the spiritual hymn's context, even 2,500 years after Jeremiah, resonated and connected with the original setting. And I don't know if you have ever noticed, but a lot of songs in our New Century hymnals have historical explanations set out below the song. It's an itty-bitty writing to the left. And the note on "There is a balm in Gilead" reads like this. This is one of the most moving of the African-American scriptures, because it illustrates the way in which the enslaved tried to encourage those who were feeling especially weighed down by the burdens of their captivity. As a whole, the book of Jeremiah understandably has a dark, foreboding sense to it. There seems to be a bit of hopelessness, which is understandable. The wounds of God's people caused by secular and religious leaders of nations, repeated failures to be God's agents, and in injustice and often kindnesses are left unintended. And those wounds fester before enslavement, and they get worse and worse, of course, after it. Despite the darkness that prevails or seems to in Jeremiah, there is good news in that book, even hope and encouragement. Like the song, the hymn, "There is a balm in Gilead." It's found in the balm that existed in Jeremiah's time. It wasn't being used. It's not called Jesus in the Hebrew scriptures. It's called God. And we can hear the balm is God in the ending of the first line of lectionary cutting. My joy is gone. Grief is upon me, my heart is sick. Hark, the cry of my people from far and wide in the land. Is the Lord not in Zion? God, the Balm, is right there. She's there. Yet in the book of Jeremiah, we hear how false God's snake oil medicine is chosen time and time again over the healing balm of God. After God asks, is the Lord not in Zion? God asks, why have they provoked me to anger with their images, with their foreign idols? Idols include worshiping the gods of wealth and power. Selfish gain trumps acting as God's hands and feet and voice to provide justice and kindness to everyone. But we also learn later in Jeremiah that the people, the nation and its leaders return to God. And they stay with God while in captivity, and it matters much. It gives them the hope that they need. It starts to soothe the wounds and offers promise of healing. Borrowing from the words I quoted from the New Century Hymnal, the book of Jeremiah ends up illustrating the way in which the enslaved tried to encourage those who were feeling especially weighed down by the burdens of their captivity. Christians have long named God incarnate Jesus, which is what the American Christians in slavery do in the spiritual we sang as our opening hymn. For Christians, Jesus the Christ is Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Jeremiah spent a lot of time 2,500 years ago warning that the failure to follow God and the consequences of the sins of the nation, the immorality, injustices, and oppression of people are wounds soothed by repentance, healed by turning to God. When Jeremiah's warnings are not heeded, the nation crumbles, and captivity ensues. But Jeremiah doesn't gloat. He laments and offers the hope that the balm of God will still heal the wounds, and he encourages the wounded to stay true to God, even in the awfulness of captivity and enslavement. He assures them they will return one day from exile. And it works. God, through the prophet Jeremiah, gets through, and the people return to be faithful to God, to Yahweh. Not unlike the American Christians enslaved in America, Israelite Jews enslaved in Babylon accepted that God is with them and loves them even in adversity, even in the awful horrors of slavery. Here's how Jewish theologian Rabbi Joseph Plushkin puts it. Quote, after Jeremiah dies, they regard him as a hero. They preserve his message, including his devastating critiques of their behavior. They accept his insistence that God's presence is universal and that God can be worshipped in exile. Even in the darkest days of exile, they are uplifted by his optimism that someday they will return to Israel. End quote. All these years later, after Jeremiah was written at traditional Jewish weddings all around the world, these hopeful words I'm about to read from Jeremiah 33 are sung in a very uplifting tune at the wedding. There shall once more be heard the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voices of those who sing as they bring thank offerings to the house of the Lord. Give thanks to the Lord of hosts, for the Lord is good, for the Lord's steadfast love endures forever. And those last words capture the essence of the good news. The Lord is, for the Lord's steadfast love endures forever. You see, there really is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. The balm is and always has been God. For us as Christians, Jesus is the decisive revelation of God. Jesus the Christ is the name we give to the balm. But by whatever name people call God, the balm of God to effect healing, any woundedness to any nation's people, is always there always. We just need to turn to God and apply the divine remedies summarized on the walls. The quilts up here to my right and my left. When nations seek justice, when they love kindness, when they walk humbly with God, wounds are soothed, wounds are protected, wounds are healed. And there's a reason those three things are the only requirements God has for us, because they are the balm of God